Hi, my name is Phil Anderson and I'm running for United States Senate to represent Wisconsin. The news hit in the last couple of days that apparently John Kasich and Ted Cruz are going to work together to combine their forces, so to speak, against Donald Trump. Cruz is not going to campaign in New Mexico, and Kasich's not going to spend money in Indiana, and thereby they can maximize their efforts to take down the one and only Donald Trump. Donald Trump is obviously very upset about that. He's using the word collusion. For libertarians and for other so-called third parties, like the Green Party, for example, this is nothing new. The system is set up by Republicans and Democrats to keep third parties out. As a matter of fact, Jill Stein and Gary Johnson, the Green Party and Libertarian Party candidates in 2012, have filed a lawsuit against the Commission on Presidential Debates, saying that was collusion and a restraint of trade. And it looks like they've got a pretty good chance of winning. We'll see how that turns out when the judgment is rendered in the next month or two. Also, though, other situations, for example, how the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association has really ridiculously high criteria for allowing third-party candidates to debate. That's another example of how the parties work together and use their tool, more or less the media, to keep the discussion of very valid, time-honored, traditional political perspectives like libertarianism out of the public debate. They're working together, Republicans and Democrats. So it's the fact that Kasich and Cruz are working together, although they're both Republicans, is not surprising because that's right out of the big party playbook. But what can we do about it? Well, luckily, there's a lot of other ways to get information other than from debates. There's a lot of information online. Libertarians and other candidates put out a lot of information, do a lot of door-to-door, a lot of public outreach, and that way helps them to reach constituents. But still there's this perception that's fed into by the current situation that third-party candidates are not viable. And I think that's the message in a way that Kasich and Cruz are trying to get through to the public about Trump. They're trying to marginalize him. Although he's got tons of votes and won a lot of states already, they're trying to at least show the Republican voters that this is not the guy that's going to win. They're doing everything they can to boost up their own results, to work together, to do whatever it takes to show that that Trump isn't the guy, despite the fact that millions and millions of people have voted for him. So we'll see how that works out for Trump, who I don't really care about all that much, but there is a lesson in that for those of us who are trying to get noticed and trying to get heard in public debates, whether Libertarians, Green Party, whoever. We got to keep fighting. We have to try to get into those debates and influence and talk to our supporters and help them influence broadcasters and people that manage these sorts of things, get better coverage through the media by calling into talk shows, not necessarily as invited guests, but just call and say, hey, I should be on the show. Do whatever we need to do so that we can leverage the good ideas that we have, the solid political philosophies that we have. We can leverage them and get the public excited about what we're talking about so that they'll demand that we be mentioned and included in debates and polls, etc., etc. That's our mission. That's what I'm working on during the campaign. And if I am fortunate enough to be elected to the United States Senate, I'll do what I can from the Senate to allow a broader discussion, to allow more inclusion, wider criteria for people to be included in debates and polls, so that all voices can be heard, all philosophies, all solutions can be heard, and so that together, through an honest discussion of ideas, we can do what's right for ourselves as citizens who love liberty. Thanks, and I will talk to you again tomorrow.